So we enter back into the Old Testament after St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. And now we're going to touch upon what we call the wisdom tradition. Okay. And believe it or not, this might be earth-shattering news to you, but the wisdom tradition deals with the concept of, this might shock you here, wisdom. Okay. All right. Wisdom is really the theme, the exploration. What is wisdom? What happens when you have it? What happens when you don't have it? How do you obtain wisdom? What are the fruits of wisdom? Those are all the questions that are going to be asked in this collection of literature, which begins with probably the oldest book, believe it or not, in the Old Testament, the book of Proverbs. You would think, well, isn't Genesis? Well, no, not necessarily. Okay, Genesis deals with historical events that are very, very old, very ancient. But as far as the book and its final completion, probably was after the book of Proverbs. Book of Proverbs, we're looking at probably around 1100 or 1000 BC, while Genesis and the rest of the books are maybe more in the 700s, 600s BC type of thing. That's, again, those are all estimates and really all guesses by the smart people out there, which I'm not one of them. But anyways, the book of Proverbs, one of the oldest books and probably the first book that's going to deal with the concept of wisdom. Okay, now you have to understand, especially in the Old Testament is what we call a progressive revelation, meaning that the revelation is going to develop and build upon itself, at least as far as the people's understanding of it. Okay, so God, as he reveals, doesn't give us everything at once. He just doesn't call Abraham and say, hey, Abraham, I am one God in three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, yada, yada, yada. No, it's a very progressive, developmental revelation, kind of like the way we teach kids, right? We don't give them algebra and calculus. Okay, we teach them the numbers first. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Then we add them, then we subtract them. Then we do fractions. Now the seniors at Marion are now doing calculus. Progressive, developmental. And so here's the thing with wisdom. This is how people first understood wisdom, okay, and understood virtue along the lines with that. If you seek wisdom, if you do good, you will be rewarded. If you don't seek virtue, if you don't seek wisdom, if you don't practice them, you will be punished. That's pretty much the overall theme in Proverbs. But so I ask you this question, is that correct? Is that life? You do good, you get rewarded. You do bad, you get punished. Now, if you're thinking more in terms of the afterlife, then yes. But they're talking more in terms of this life now, the earthly life. No, it seems kind of problematic, right? Like, that's not how life works. And it's not, has they observed life? Has they observed life? Well, first of all, they're going to say, well, if something bad happens to you, it's probably because you upset the Lord, And we're going to see that in the next book of wisdom. I don't know if it's in this cycle right now. I don't know if it is next in our liturgical cycle. But really, the next book of wisdom after Proverbs is the book of Job, which calls into question that kind of mentality of Proverbs. If you seek the Lord and do good, you get rewarded with riches in this earthly life. The book of Job is a story where they present us a very virtuous character who has a lot of great sufferings befall upon him. Again, a book of wisdom. Okay, it's about wisdom, it's about virtue. But we know now, as Catholics in 2020 in Ashland, we know kind of like the whole story now. Yes, you do good. Yes, you will be rewarded. Just not necessarily in this life with riches. In fact, sometimes the more virtue you practice, the more wisdom you gain, the more you want to be a disciple of the Lord, not always the most popular person in the room, Sometimes sufferings befall upon us. But Jesus Christ, okay, and the cross with his resurrection tells us, yeah, there will be good. There will be great fruit that comes from it. It just might not necessarily happen all here, all at one time. There might be a lot of great things that happen here. But after our death, after we lose this life to gain another life, is when God will complete all the good that we have done, okay? And the same with wickedness. If we're unrepentant of our sinfulness, if we don't have a contrite heart, not necessarily that God will punish us, but really what God does is he rewards us for our conduct. If we are living a life without love, then what makes us think that we want to be in a life with love in the next life to come? That's what hell is. A rejection of love, and that love becomes really torturous to the wicked person that despises it. If you hate goodness, if you hate virtue, why would you want to live in the presence of the one who is pure goodness, pure virtue? You'll be repulsed by it. Okay? But all that said and done, as we continue, and we might not cover Proverbs every day, okay, because it's really, the book is just a collection of sayings. So if there's anything that's enticing, we'll reflect upon it. But for now, just know that the good that we do, will never go unnoticed by God. But the result of it might just be a little bit delayed. May God bless you.